I recently made a purchase from Vintage Confections for our candy theme. Someone mentioned candy eyeballs, and I have seen some candy eyeballs from Vintage Confections the last couple of years and hadn't had an opportunity to buy them. This is one of the actual lollipops they sent me. I bought 6 of them. So these are what my tutorial is based on. Here are my miniature ones. So I have lots of little tiny eyeballs. To make your lollipop sticks, basically what you're going to want to do is roll out a snake of white Primo till it's really thin. Then you're going to lay it straight in your baking pan and cook it. When it's all done, you could chop it in pieces to make your lollipop sticks. What you do is put some white clay inside one of those little spaces. Make sure it doesn't come all the way up to the top. We want it to have a concave shape. So I'm pressing it down into there. And to give it the right shape, we're going to put the marble in that we used to create it and roll it around to give it that nice concave shape. So from here, what you're going to do is just want to smooth the edges, make sure that they're not coming out over. And then I'm using the Primo Pearl colors because a lot of animal eyes have that refraction, and I wanted to be able to have a little bit of something shiny to mimic that. So I just went ahead and took a little cut. Anything circle, you could even put a larger piece around, and when you press it inside, you can just pull it out on the sides to help cover more of the surface area, cover some of that white, that you can paint them in any color combinations you want. I think it's pretty fun. I am doing the regular pearl from Primo just because then I could put any color on it and it looked good, and cat eye colors. So from here we are using paint brushes and watercolor. So here is a watercolor pad. Let's see if I could scroll out. So it's from Artist Loft. I got it from Michael's for like $5. They're very inexpensive, and then you have a nice palette. So I'm just gonna play here. So I'm gonna be mimicking that one for the tutorial. And I'm doing all the other eyes pretty much the same way I did this one, just different colors. And eyes can be kind of fanciful too. So basically, I'm going to wet a paintbrush. And I'm going to put purple all around the outside. Color to the inside. Just pulling it all towards the center. I'm using the kind of aqua blue color, and I'm going to start bringing color to the outside, and I'm bringing some of the deep blue color to where it touches the purples. Now I'm going to add just a tiny bit of the dark blue to a little bit of the areas of the outer purple. I'm going to add some light blue and white. So here I'm just going to add some little light blue dots, just for a little bit of interest towards the center. From here, I'm just adding tiny little dots of white as well, and bringing white out to the sides a little bit, just for a little bit more visual interest. And then we're going to do the center of the eye. Now, I will just start drawing a line, and then I will expand it. You could do circular eyes, you could do slits, but this is all done from that one watercolor kit. Like I said, it's $5. So it's a nice little something to have just for when you want to add some details. The clay is wet at this point. It's conditioned and in the mold, but I haven't cooked it yet. So from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to bake it. After I bake it, I'm going to go over the black one more time just to make sure it's a nice solid black. Otherwise, if you see some of the colors from underneath when we put the resin on, it won't work very well. I remove it before baking, and then I'm going to put the lollipop stick in now. So I go on the bottom, I stick a safety pin in, and wrap it around to give it a larger hole. I grab one of my lollipop sticks, I dip it in a tiny bit of the translucent liquid Sculpey, and I put it in the bottom of my eyeball. This one looks a little bit off center, but it gives you the idea. And now it's ready to bake, and after it bakes, I'll show you what we do next. So here, I took it out of the oven. Here it is, close up. And I put it in the other mold that we made. This is just to help keep it steady and flat while the resin is in it. So I discovered this the other day in the polymer clay section and picked it up, and before I knew I was going to be doing eyeballs, and I thought that it would be perfect. So basically it dries under the sunlight. So I'm going to put some drops in there. And if there's any, if it has any air bubbles, you can pop them with the safety pin. I'm going to use the safety pin to kind of push the resin out to the very edges of the piece that I could see. And I'm not seeing any bubbles from this corner. Oh, there's one on the top. So if there's air bubbles, you just poke them like that. So that's it. So for here, you just move it outside and you let it sit under the sunlight for about an hour and we're all done. Otherwise you have to have a UV lamp for it. But It comes in a 1-ounce container. I got it at Michael's in the polymer clay section, and Annie Howe's on Etsy also sells it. In the description box, I will have the link to Vintage Confections Etsy shop, and also their online and their own website too. So they have a couple online spots. They're also on Instagram, so follow them on Instagram and take a look at the different other kind of lollipops they do. It's super fun. Let's see, one more thing I was going to show you. I was going to show you how I turn them into a charm. So basically, I take a pin and I slide it straight through. And I'm using a sewing pin because it's pretty thin and it's not going to crack the clay as easily as something larger would. So I'd let this sit in for a few minutes. Then after it sits in and I twist it, then I pull it out and slide in a head pin, and there you go. Now if you do spill some of it, that's okay. You could just sand some of the resin off on the back, and if your white clay has gotten lint on the back of the eyeball, you could also sand that off as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this, guys. It was super fun.